Commissioner Singer, will you lead us in prayer, please, sir?
Yes, sir. Good morning. If you would join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this lovely fall day. Thank you for the cool breeze that's coming through at night for us. Lord, just thank you for this gathering here today. The people that's here because they love our county and they want to be involved. And be with this staff as they work through the different situations that we come apart every day, and just so thankful for each and every one of them. Lord, be with Holly and her family as they suffered the loss of her father yesterday. Just comfort them and be with them in this time. And just be with this county commission today as we get together and just help us make every decision that's the most beneficial to our entire Montgomery County. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, Florence.
First thing, we'll go over our visitors for today. We'll hear first from Christy Thornton with EMA, Sheriff Derek Cunningham, Chief Appraiser Clay Henley, and Executive Director Charity Alpert with CASA, the court-appointed special advocates for children. Christy.
Hold on a minute. Is Dan on the line? Dan?
Commissioner Harris, can you hear us?
I'll send him a text and see.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. Just one of the biggest things that we want to be able to make sure that everybody knows, we have actually been upgraded from high risk to significant risk now. So our numbers are starting to trickle down. Our percentage in year to year is significantly lower. So we're hoping that continued efforts from our vaccination clinics and people that have actually had COVID and have the natural antibodies are starting to actually bring us to a sense of herd immunity. We have reached 33,996 confirmed COVID cases, and at this point in time, we have 87,615 people that are completely vaccinated. We're actually going to leave straight from here and go to Trenton. We have a vaccine clinic there today from 11 to 2, so we've got to go get set up. So they're offering some incentives for the students as well. The students are going to have the incentives, but the opportunities for a public open vaccination clinic in the neighborhood is what we're continuing to try to do. Health Services, Inc. wanted me to share with you that we have free COVID-19 vaccinations Monday and Wednesday from 8:30 to 4 o'clock and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 at 1765 Plum Street. And they do have all three, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer, whichever vaccine that someone would want. So, any questions?
That include the booster as well?
For Pfizer, that is the only one that is approved at this point in time. We're expecting Johnson & Johnson and Moderna any day now. But yes, sir, the majority of our vaccination clinics have been boosters, not very, very many initial doses anymore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christy.
Now we'll go
Can
over
you
the...
hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right.
If you could speak up a little if you want to participate.
Okay. I'll just listen.
Thank you. The items to be considered on our formal agenda: a resolution to order to canvass the returns and declare the results of a special ad valorem school district tax election in Pike Road School Tax District in Montgomery County, Alabama. Consider appointment of Vice Chairman Doug Singleton as Commission Representative on the Central Alabama Rural Planning Organization Steering Committee. Consider a board member appointment to the Public Building Authority. Consider ratification of continuation of a previous grant with ADECA for the Violence Against Women Prosecution Unit project. Consider acceptance of a grant award for the 2021 Community Policing Development De-Escalation Training Solicitation. Consider amendment number 2 to the contract with Chappie's Deli of Montgomery for catering food trays.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Sloan, on those particular contracts, do we have the dollar amount? I know that we put the dollar amount on some of our contracts and others we don't have the dollar amount for those,
Yes, sir, it was the amount they bid. Let me see if that's on that attachment.
you don't have to hold it up to the agenda up. I was just curious about why some prices were reflected and others were not on various contracts that we let.
I think when it's a renewal, maybe we don't necessarily include that, but we can start to do that from now on, so you'll have that information.
Thank you.
Consider amendment number 2 to a contract with Chappie's Deli for an employee luncheon. Consider amendment number 1 to a contract with Troy Cablevision to add high-speed data from Annex 1 to the Probate Revenue South. Consider amendment number 2 to a contract with ICS Jail Supplies for mattresses for the detention facility. Consider amendment number 2 to a contract with Gulf State Distributors for law enforcement footwear for the Sheriff's Office. Consider amendment number 3 to a contract with Liberty Disposal to add a dumpster at the Election Center's warehouse. Consider an agreement with Legal Services Alabama to provide legal services to eligible clients. Consider payment of 2022 membership dues in the amount of $225 to the Association of County Administrators of Alabama for Administrator Florence Cauthen and Deputy Administrator Kendall Anderson. Consider 2021 annual membership dues to the Montgomery Area Business Committee for the Arts. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to agencies. Commissioner Singleton has added $1,500 to Woods and Waters Homeowners Association. Are there any others? Consider miscellaneous appropriations to education. Consider miscellaneous appropriations from designated revenue. Consider a bid award to Patriot Services Group for inmate security guard services for the detention facility. Consider budget change request number 1 for the engineering department. Consider budget change request number 1 for the probate judge's office. Consider budget change request number 1 for the sheriff's office. Consider position fill request for the detention facility for 3 corrections officer trainees. Consider position fill requests for the district attorney's office for an investigator 1 and 2 legal support assistants. Consider position fill requests for the engineering department for a county road equipment operator 2 and a service manager. Consider position fill requests for the probate judge's office for a customer service clerk and an assistant chief clerk. Consider position fill requests for the sheriff's office for a deputy sheriff corporal and 2 deputy sheriff trainees. Consider position fill requests for the youth facility for a juvenile detention officer part-time. Consider travel training requests for the DA and for purchasing.
Okay.
First, we'll hear from Sheriff Cunningham.
Good morning. Oh, good morning, all y'all. I know I ain't speak to everybody, but I'm speaking to you now. All righty. I'm always happy to be here.
And you were going to discuss the legislation that you have proposed be presented for a fundraising.
Oh, that bill, yeah. Yeah, and that's just a bill would now allow us to be able to have fundraising. But the only thing that's good about it is that we can designate who we're gonna raise funds for, like breast cancer awareness to the Cancer Wellness Foundation. if we go out and have something, and the money that's being taken up, we'll be able to present it to them. Nothing more.
Is that kind of like what NAMI, you was doing NAMI already? How were you doing that one then?
Well, normally we did it with y'all.
Oh, point your finger there.
So this will just allow us to be able to do it in the general public, yeah.
And you have some counties already doing it, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a copy bill now. That ain't nothing that we wrote.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Don't cost us nothing, so,
Won't cost you a thing.
yeah. I don't have a problem with it.
So that can go on the next agenda.
Yes.
And along those lines, Ron and Cassandra have proposed that we have our annual, what we've done in the past, a breakfast on December 6th. If you all will check your calendars and either let me know today or sometime this week so we can move forward with that.
Well, what we need to do is clear our calendars for those dates because it's getting pretty close to the other legislative session. We need to clear our calendars for that date.
And that's December the 6th.
Correct?
Okay.
Monday.
So if that's something we need to do. Probably should have done it earlier with they were in session, special session.
Yeah, because the session starts in January, so,
But they're gonna go to another special session too. So
yeah.
What time on December 6th?
It's usually a breakfast, 8:30, would that,
The last time we did it as a brunch, but it doesn't matter to me whether we do it as breakfast or not.
Y'all let
What
me
time,
know.
Mr. Chairman?
I like the early,
I do too.
yeah,
8:30?
8:30?
yeah.
Y'all got anything else for me?
You good.
Oh, man, that's pretty good. I got to get up here and go. Thank y'all.
we have a waived rule item to be presented by Chief Appraiser Clay Henley.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're here this morning to request your approval for a contract with E-Ring Incorporated, which is our software provider for appraisal and assessment software. We've been having some issues lately, probably for the past couple of months, where we've had some server errors that have impacted our ability to, do what we have to do day to day. It's causing delays. I've spoken with our Revenue Commissioner, Janet Buskey. She's having some issues with check processing on her end. So what we're trying to do is get this issue resolved, as soon as possible, and preferably prior to when it gets real busy with collection on the revenue side. So that's what we're here to request today. I can answer any questions that you have about it.
When you say the county shares 22%, what does that mean?
Well, so the total cost of the contract is $133,000. Portions of our contract are paid by the city and the state as well. The county general fund portion of that is 22.5%. And I've also gotten a letter from the Department of Revenue giving us permission to use the appraisal budget completely to pay for this. So it would be a 22.5% share.
I just thought you was gonna let Allison say something. She was smiling. You don't have to say
You don't need to say
No,
nothing.
I
If you'd
didn't
like
know.
me to say
No,
something,
you
I
don't have to say
will.
anything. You
No,
just
no,
smiling. I just thought you had something to say. I apologize.
You know,
It's
yeah,
okay.
Well, no, like he said, it'll be coming out of our appraisal budget, which, the county is only responsible for about 22% of that, and the rest will be from the other entities.
Thank you. It's good to see your face.
Good to see y'all too.
good to be seen. I don't have any problem with waiving rules. Anybody else?
No problem.
Okay.
Our next visitor is Charity Albert with CASA.
I just wanted to bring you guys an update. We will have, our program will have been in operation a year as of November 1st.
Excuse me, can you pull that microphone down?
I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry. Yeah, is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, so we will come up on our 1-year anniversary, November 1st, and I wanted to bring you guys an update. You were among our first supporters that really helped us get going, and we were really encouraged with what we've been able to do in our first year. We've been able to train 50 CASA volunteers, so we're really excited about the support that we've seen from Montgomery coming out to help these children. So we currently have 22 CASA volunteers on cases, and we're advocating for 30 children. 31. We've had 2 reunify with parents. But some of the needs that we've identified as we've been working these cases this year that we've been able to advocate for is educational needs and testing. You know, a lot of our kids in care are behind already in schools because of having to move so much, but with the COVID year, we've seen a really big problem with that. So we've been able to, all the way from our CASA volunteers meeting on their visits with the children, doing tutoring with them, to advocating for them to get tested and get support services they need. Medical and psychological evaluations we have found needed to be done on these kids, which has helped with prescription regimens. We had a kid, a young kid, probably 6 years old, who was on Ritalin 5 times a day. It did not need to be. So we were advocating for them. He got reassessed and got that corrected. We've been able to help get placement of siblings together. We had a case of 7 kids. They were placed in 4 different placements. We were able to get 6 of those together in one house. So, and then kinship placement, and again, like I said, reunifying with parents. So a lot of needs have been met in our first year, and I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for your early support. We've been really encouraged with what we've been able to do this first year, and excited to start our second year. Our goal was to have 25 advocates actively working on cases by the end of our first year, so we're really close to that. We do have the volunteers sitting there ready. We're just waiting on the judges to appoint us the rest of those cases. So we have our only really yearly fundraiser on Saturday. We have a superhero 5K and fun run. I'm going to give you guys a flyer and a race guide for that. If anyone's available, we'd love to have you come out. But with your support, we really had the community come behind us, and we were able to get a few grants. And with this fundraiser, we should be able to meet our fundraising goal for the year. So thank you for your part in that. Do you have any questions?
So do you have, you said y'all were hoping for 25 advocates by the end of the first year.
Working, so we have those
Right.
trained, but we just don't have the cases for them yet.
Okay, so you're just, the judges are the holdup. Well, congratulations on identifying those people. I've seen the volunteers as you train
Yeah.
them and you share that information. That's fantastic.
It's so great. Yeah, we've had a lot of people.
Good.
The race, thank you.
This is down to biscuits are hosting for us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Other items to be considered today is authorization of agreements for housing juveniles at the Montgomery County Youth Facility for Autauga, Butler, Chilton, and Elmore counties. This is the same contract that we approve each year. Brandy's here if you've got any questions.
Next agenda.
Item number 4 is an agreement with the Alabama Department of Public Health for replacement of the Health Department facility roof. Because we own that building, they've come to us for our allowing them to receive federal funding to make these repairs. There's also an agreement for work to be repaving their parking lot.
Next agenda. Who would choose the contractor? Who?
Good question. I don't know the answer, but I would assume that it would be the Department of Public Health. Kendall, did you all have any conversation about that?
We did not have a conversation about that.
especially with the parking lot. You know, anytime you go over there, you see the hills and the, you know, you got gravel all over the place, so it's something that does need to be done. But we will research who will choose the contract.
Well, who's paying for it? We paying for it?
No, sir, it's federal funds.
Okay, well, all right. Okay, let's move on. Next agenda.
Item number 6 is to recognize and deny a claim regarding Shakita Spidell.
Next agenda.
We have a letter from Dr. Tina Davis, president of the Montgomery Botanical Gardens, requesting funding for the Montgomery Botanical Gardens at Oak Park.
I only did, what number? Oh, there it is. Sorry, what's her request?
5,000.
She, I don't know if she was able to speak to the rest of y'all, but I've been to the Botanical Gardens and I have followed this project since the beginning. She's asking for, well, she says $5,000 from each. We need to confirm that that's what she meant, because my understanding was she was asking for a total of $5,000. I mean, $25,000 would be a lot. But I do support this organization and hope that we can help them. I feel, based on my conversation with her, that she meant she's requesting $5,000. I can confirm that. I mean, I'm sure she would love $5,000 from each, but I don't think that's reasonable.
I told her that I don't think she could get that.
Did she ask you for $5,000 from each of us?
She didn't say any amount. She still mentioned 5,000 for each.
Okay.
But I told her I don't think she could get that, you know.
Yeah, I definitely support this organization. I would support giving them collectively from the commission $5,000 than if any individual wanted to do more.
Right.
And I'm sorry if I misunderstood her, but anyway.
Okay. So do anybody want to go on and pledge to help?
Can we do a total of 5,000 from the commission?
Yes, we can.
The joint.
Commissioners,
Yes, we
is that
can.
fine? Or, I mean, I'm happy just to help myself.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So we'll add $5,000 from the designated revenue for the Montgomery Botanical Gardens,
Yes,
from
ma'am.
the joint.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
All right, the next general information item is a discussion of the Phase 2 of the jail repairs and renovations and other capital projects.
I had asked Florence to put that in our packages, because oftentimes we talk about things, we never get them done. For instance, for example, we talked too long on the probate revenue office on Atlanta Highway, and it got away from us, and we just can't continue to meet for about an hour every 2 weeks and don't get stuff done. We got a lot of stuff in front of us that we really need to take care of. So it's time, we can't overlook it. It's got to happen. About the jail, I would say that the major problems in the jail, you wouldn't allow that to happen at your house. Water leaks and deterioration and stuff. So this is bigger than our house and our home. We're gonna spend taxpayers' dollars, and we wanna make sure we do the right thing. And I'm proposing that we talk about it, but there's no way around not going to the bond market. So it's open for discussion.
That would have been my next question or comment, Mr. Chairman. Can we do the major repairs as we get the revenue available? But you've already said that it can't be done without going to the bond market. So I guess I don't have any other questions that other
Well,
than can we really, really do it without having to go to the bond market?
I don't think so. Cheryl, could you come down for a minute, please? And Sheriff and Cheryl, yeah. I said Cheryl, but you know, come on. That's okay, Sheriff, you need to come down too, because this is open discussion too, so. You know, I don't make these decisions by myself. I consult Cheryl and Florence about what we can and what we can't do. We're in great financial position. When you say, Cheryl?
Yes, we're very fortunate. And I know we discussed doing the bond issue, and I don't like debt, but we looked at, I think the debt service would add about $1 million to our, you know, bottom or our budgets. Right now, we're in shape we can handle that. And going forward, say if we did, you know, do the bond issue and instead of our reserves, I think we're also looking at the project may cost more than that. We'll use some of the reserves we have to pick up that difference. And then you always have the reserves to make debt payment. So it's kind of locking into the lower rates, you know, to borrow the money. And we wouldn't want to do all of it without borrowing some money. So it's, do we want to go ahead and, you know, do one big issue?
Now, Cheryl, some of that debt will be going down in a couple of years, right?
Yes, there's a big drop-off in the debt. There's one drop-off, I think, in about 7 years, and then another one in 10.
Yes, sir.
So,
Dan is trying to speak.
Dan?
He wants to address
Are
this
you
issue.
on mute?
I think Florence is talking to him now. Dan
Sure,
is trying to.
the old jail house is the kitchen laundry now, right, for both jails?
While we're waiting on Dan, that was close to $1 million, $2 million, it's $2 million for lighting. Why do we need that? At least it was $1 million for lighting.
Asking you.
No, you gotta realize, we're going to LED lights for cost-saving measures. We're not looking at, going back with the ballots and the bulbs like we've been doing. And the new renovation part that we done, we put in all LED lights for cost-saving measures.
And the LED lights, if I'm not mistaken, they'll also eliminate some of the inmates pulling the balustrades down.
Yes.
Which is a common,
Oh, yeah, major problem.
yeah.
We just had that last week.
Dan trying to talk.
Commissioner Harris is on the phone, and for whatever reason, he's not being heard through the speakers. Rodney and Tammy can hear him back there, but he said he had comments to be made and wanted to be heard.
Can you put the phone up to the mic?
Well, that's
Just
what,
let him talk? Would that
Put it
work?
on speaker.
I'm going to try to put you on my speakerphone and hold you up to my mic. You want to try that? Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
I thought that, we had a meeting on this, Commissioner Walker, wait a minute, let me turn this thing on. And Florence and Kendall, on this matter, and we gathered some data. I'm fully supportive of making sure that the jail is properly maintained, but I'm also aware of, I'm considering, taking on new debt and the amount of that new debt. I had a couple of questions after we received those numbers. Our capacity up there is well over 1,000 inmates. We've never had that many inmates. I think the consideration for me is if we fix the old jail, then going going forward, we're gonna have to continue to maintain it. Since I've been on the commission, that portion has been really a money pit. And I guess what I'm getting at, I think we ought to take a look at it. I'd like to sit down with the sheriff and talk to him about what do we really need in terms of jail beds up there, and talk with the architects to see. I understand that the kitchen and there's something else on that other side of the street, but there must be some kind of way that portion that we're not using and probably will never use, don't even have any need for. I just have a problem with fixing it up and then having to continue to maintain it. It's just constantly costing us money to have it when we're not really ever going to have 1,500, 2,000 inmates up there. So my consideration is that, and once we whittle it down and find out really how much money we need to spend to get that place in shape, then we can determine whether or not we really need to borrow the money. We might already have the money, but some other way to pay it. So my concern is incurring more debt. I don't care how. I mean, I appreciate and understand, and I'm happy that we're in good shape, but I want to stay in good shape. We're adding another $1 million to our debt service. We're already at close to 10%, if not 10% or more, in terms of debt service. I'm concerned about that. And I'd like to really look at this and any other project that we go into. Really, this project looked like we just jumped. We went in and said, let's fix everything, and then we jumped to the bond market. There needs to be a little bit more deliberation on this. I don't think there was a missed opportunity on that probate office, but that's a conversation for a different day. But this really is something that we should really consider, because it's more than borrowing $30 million and fixing it up. Going forward, we've got to keep it maintained as well. So I'd like to really have those conversations with the sheriff's office and with the architects to see what's the figure to get that jail in shape, and what do we really need in terms of capacity up there.
Okay, your point very well taken, Commissioner Harris. But we've talked to architects, we've talked to the sheriff, and I mean, you know, I think all of us had the information that we thought we needed to make a valid decision. So, but your point is very well taken, so we need to hear from the other commissioners. And
Well,
Sheriff, you want to say something?
oh, yeah.
too, 'cause
Now, the reason why we got into this predicament back in '99, when we decided to build the other jail, is because we had 1,200 inmates. We had inmates in Pickens County, Perry County, Houston County, Lowndes County. We were farming them out because we didn't have the bed space. We built the other wing onto the jail because of that reason. And then after we built that other wing on and we got it open up, then our numbers started to go down due to all the programs that we started. And right now, hey, if we take a turn of what we're doing today, our numbers will go right back up. You got to look at the number of people that are out on bond right now. And if we changed our venue or the way that we do business, those people will be in jail. And the time to be prepared ain't when you got those numbers piled in there. The time to be prepared is now. And so whatever you all decide to do, I'm here with you. But I just want you all to know you don't need to get prepared the day that we're overcrowded. We need to be prepared beforehand. Right now, we got the space that we can move people and be fixed. And you got to realize what we're doing. This jail was built in 1986 is when we opened up. Every copper pipe in the building is falling apart. It's collapsing. And so what the architect did is went in and looked at the problem and decided to take the boilers out and to go in with tankless water heaters, the same thing they're doing with other counties. But like I said, what we need to do is we need to sit down, and if y'all want to sit down and go look, I'm ready to do that. But we don't need to keep prolonging something until we get to a point of we need bed space, and now we're trying to go in and try to fix bed space. We need to do that now while we got the time and we got the space to be able to move people around without having to farm out inmates and let people house them for us while we do renovations. So I think now's the time for us to start having these serious conversations. But there's no way in the world that we can look at the possibility of being able to shut down half of this and do the other half. All the pipes are hooked together. So if we're gonna do the bottom floor, we gotta do the other floors. You know, and that's where the problem's at right now. There's no reason in the world for us to be having to paying out the money we're paying on our water bill due to the fact that pipes are busting. And look at the money that we're overriding now for our repair people to come over there every single night to fix pipes. Our drains are messed up, our plumbing is messed up, and when we go in, we need to do it right. Just like you asked the question about the lighting. You know, you look at how much money our power bill is now, running ballots and lights, instead of putting in LED lights. You know, we got to look at whatever we're doing, and we need to talk with the architects. Y'all need to come and look and see what's going on, and then we'll be able to make that decision. But I think we need to really have some serious conversations, and so we can move forward.
You know, Sheriff, I was there. I have pictures of the plumbing. I see the copper pipes falling apart and tarnishing and so forth. But I was just wondering about the plumbing itself, if that just couldn't be, you know, one project, initial project, and then move to something else, you know, once that was paid for.
And that's a discussion that we need to be having as far as if we go in and start looking at the plumbing, if we're looking at the HVAC, and we're gonna look at that, but at the same time, when we tear out all the walls and fix the plumbing, we gotta fix those walls, and we gotta go back in and paint. And I hate for us to go in and start doing a Band-Aid approach, painting, and then you come back and do your plumbing, or you do your plumbing, and then you come back and you patch up, and then you come back and do your painting, then you gotta tear the ceilings out to do the HVAC. You know, we just need to sit down with the architect and see whatever's gonna be damaged doing that first repair work, and if we need to go ahead, since we got the walls tore, we got this tore out, to go ahead and fix that before we go in and replace it and then go back and tear it out to put something new in. So that's the conversation that we need to be having. So if we need to sit down with the architect and see what direction we need to go in, let's do it.
Mr. Chairman, one other thing. Commissioner Harris mentioned capacity, and I want to make sure I'm understanding you, Sheriff Cunningham. You anticipate that we might need all the bed space that we currently have and then some, because you mentioned some people without on bond. Explain to me, what do you anticipate? I anticipate whatever may take place. If we go in here right now today and we start putting people in jail, if the legislature change a bill on bonding issues, I can't foresee what's going to happen in the future. Only thing I know is in 1999, we had 1,200 inmates, and we had them all over the place. In a jail that was built for 327, we went in and double bunked and got it to 507 certain cells. And now we're talking about our numbers being so low. It's low because of the actions that we took back in '99 to get our numbers down. But see, the problem is now, we're looking at a building that's been built since 1985. We didn't do anything. I don't think we've ever repaired the elevators. We've never put in a new boiler. We never had to do any kind of maintenance in that building. Now, all of a sudden, all the maintenance issues are coming up from a 1985 building.
Mr. Chairman, we can't have this conversation today. What the sheriff is saying, it adds to what I'm telling you. That's a money pit up there. We need to take a close look on capacity. I've been on the commission going on 9 years now, and it's never been over 1,000 people up there in that jail. And that may be, but on the other hand, we may expand community corrections and have to have another, keep people in community corrections. The directions now is not locking people up. It's putting people in programs where, in different types of programs. So let's have a real serious conversation. I support having the jail in top-notch running condition. What I'm trying to stop is this money pit. Every time you tear down a wall, there's something else that needs to be replaced. Well, why you keep replacing it if you don't really need it? Let's assess whether or not we need it. And this thing on the come, we've never had 1,200. I don't remember us ever having over 1,000. Maybe over 700 for a period there, but that's conjecture. Let's have a serious conversation about it, determine what we want, and spend the money on it. I'm fully supportive of making sure that everything works up there, that it's in top-notch maintenance, and that it's efficient, fuel efficient. I don't have a problem with replacing the lights and things like that. What I'm talking about is we don't need both of those jails. It's going to be hard for you to convince me that we do. So let's sit down and have that conversation. We can't have it together.
Well, I like to hear from, and we can't have this conversation today because there's no other time that we can have it. We got a quorum in here, and I think everybody needs to be heard. And I guess we have a different opinion because I'm ready to move forward. And I don't think that old jail is a money pit. I was here when we had 1,100 people, and we initiated what we call community correction, which has helped us a lot, and some other programs that we had. But let's hear from some other folks. We got to move forward or not. I mean, you know.
Sheriff, what's our utilities, monthly utilities in the old jail now? Water is 25,000 a month?
No, yeah, that's an old jail, but a lot of that is done from the pipes that were busted. Yeah, and you gotta realize in the new jail, our water bill runs around $5,000-6,000.
So that's 20,000 difference there. So you take 20, that's $250,000 of the $1 million debt service we're talking about. And then when you talk about electricity, the electricity bill going to LED is, what, 50% savings at least?
Oh, yeah.
So at some point, it gets to the point that we keep patching it up. We either close it or fix it, and not the opinion to try to piecemeal fix it, because I end up spending more money when I try to do piece by piece in my personal life. I know that for sure. When you try to patch something here and wait on the other, it's best just to go in when everything is down and there's nobody in there and you're not trying to move people around. So I don't know if we have an alternative to going ahead and fixing the jails. And the next question I guess I would have is, how can we, I hate to say this, but how can we increase the capacity of the jail or occupancy of the jail? I wish we could decrease it, wish we didn't have a jail, but the reality is, can we pick up state inmates, or with all the states going through what they're doing, talking about building jails and remodeling jails and all the money they're talking about spending, can we pick up some of those inmates to fill the jail after we have it renovated?
You could. Depends on the cost.
Exactly, they don't want to pay us on that,
Yeah.
so.
I missed that. I was trying to understand the last question about picking up inmates. Picking up inmates from where?
Well, right, it was talking about, everything we hear, the state prisons are overcrowded and everything now, possibility of us housing some of those state prisoners. But of course, the issue that we have is the state don't want to pay us enough to house them, and we end up losing money by doing it, so. And you gotta add staff, you gotta add a lot of stuff.
And like I said, we can have those conversations, but that's
But
we
then-
gotta look at the other end of that is your medical costs go up, your this go up, so, and that's something that you all gotta be willing to accept. So, like I said, we need to have those conversations, but we need to have serious conversations. And if we're gonna sit down with the architect and we're gonna talk about doing what you're talking about, doing, as far as looking at, prioritizing the repairs, and that's a conversation that we need to have with the architect, because they can be able to tell you what we need to do. And like I said, that's a conversation that we need to have, but we need to go ahead and have it.
Well, Sheriff, I thought the architect told us what we needed to do.
Yes, she did.
Okay, so why are we going back?
Because the question was brought up about doing something in phases, and I said that's the question that the architect needs to have. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure we have our space for the Fed, so we got that.
Well, we're talking about taking on $1 million in debt yearly, but we've already identified on the bottom end, if we just look at our utilities, our power bill, water bill, That's probably half of it there. I mean, that's being very conservative too. That's not,
To mention on that, back when the new jail was built, we built the budget based on positions at that time, for 1,200 inmates. Well, every year, that is unused budget. We use that to cover some of those things. If, just standing here, I think based on a report I ran, there was probably about $4 million of detention facility salaries and benefits not used that we do actually use to cover, like when we do the budget, some of that we use to offset things like that.
Mr. Chairman, I've looked at the jail, I've been in the jail, I see the problems, I've looked at the numbers, and as much as I hate to borrow money, I don't think we really have much of an option besides going to the bond market and making the necessary repairs and doing it right and doing it complete and not keep patching and trying to save a nickel and spend a dime to do that, so.
I had some questions about this project as well. Obviously, it's a high-ticket expenditure. I've asked my questions, and I am now satisfied that this project needs to happen, and I'm not in favor of a piecemeal approach. While I appreciate that thought and definitely spending money as we have it, I don't think that that's the wise decision, in my opinion, at this time. So, Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we put this on the next agenda.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. You got any more comments?
I was just curious as to, we have figures all the time that end up not being accurate, cost overruns, et cetera. These numbers, who are these numbers coming from? No, you don't know. Yeah.
These numbers are from the architect that we contracted with to identify the repairs that are necessary, and these are their current estimates.
We just talking about, I saw this, the information that you sent had some other details about repairs, like the courthouse roof and just a number of things. So are we strictly talking about just the jail, this particular dollar amount? How much is it, and is it just the jail we're talking about in terms of borrowing money? What dollar amount are we talking about borrowing?
We were asked to identify all the immediate needs now to address, for example, the chiller and boilers in Annex 1 have gone out several times over the summer, and that equipment is at the end of its life, just as the chillers and boilers in the Jail 1 are at the end of their life. And so that list of items that we submitted identified the roofing needs, the mechanical and plumbing replacements, also identified, for example, the renovations we had scheduled for Annex 2. So there's a number figure associated strictly with the jail, there's a figure associated with roofs, and a figure associated with mechanicals, specifically HVAC in Annex 1, renovations in Annex 2, which includes replacement of the elevator. Again, that elevator is original to a building that's over 50 years old. So we were just trying to identify the immediate needs that have got to be addressed.
Yes. So again, I guess this is Mr. Chairman, maybe this is a question for you. How much money are we talking about borrowing? And what are we talking about fixing with the money? I mean, I saw the list that Florence provided. And so are you suggesting that we borrow enough money to cover all those things on that long list that she gave us?
Yeah, the figure we were talking was the 30 million figure. That's what we got the payback and everything on, was the $30 million figure. And like Cheryl said too, there might be some other things that come up, that we got some money. We don't want to go in our reserve. That's the worst thing you can do, to go in reserve to fix things, and we don't need that, so. And the reason, I made my decision based on what Cheryl told me and what the architects were saying, about what we need. I'm not an architect, I'm not the financial person, but I use the resources that I've had. And we've talked about this over and over and over again. And I would, if Commissioner Harris want to talk to the sheriff further, that's fine. But I'm just recommending that we move forward and start this process. Because the more we wait, the worse it's gonna get. I mean, you built houses and stuff before, you know what it's like, so.
Yeah, borrowing money is okay when it's absolutely necessary, but most of, after that, you kind of save money
Yeah,
so you
and
can
then
handle
too,
those repairs.
we've been told that it does not mess up our ratings either, Standard & Poor's and Moody's. And that's the other thing we always are concerned about, our ratings, and so we still have a good rating.
I would just, one thing, maybe a little bit off subject. I was just concerned about the courthouse roof. We have, Lamar is supposedly in charge of, looking at maintenance and repairs and projecting costs. Are we talking about the same courthouse that we just spent $13 million on that need the roof?
Yes, sir, the roof replacement was not in that contract.
And, a reasonable person would just have to ask, why was that the case?
That was identified in the 10-year maintenance plan, but it was not included. I can't tell you exactly why, but probably because of the other cost associated with it. But right now, we have leaks in the roof that are damaging new ceiling tiles.
That is really sad.
It is.
Okay.
And commissioners, in the future, starting today, I would like to make sure that we got a preventive maintenance plan, and we need to all look at it and make sure we got that kind of plan. We don't have a preventive maintenance plan. We've got to have that. So, Florence, we need to make sure we own that, something that we can all look at periodically, so this kind of thing won't happen anymore.
Well, when in talking about, for example, replacing HVAC or chillers and boilers, all of those are original to the building and they are at end of life.
But
The
still-
first, right, I
But still,
understand.
we haven't had anybody to look at it and say, okay, it's time to look at this, it's time to put it to be serviced or whatever. It has not been a chart saying these things need to be checked on a periodic basis. I mean, just walking by it and looking at it, it don't help us none. So we have got to make sure that we spend our money wisely and make sure that everything on this campus, and when I say the campus, the county commission, that everything we own is in good condition and safe condition. See, cause you got a roof leak and if you don't catch it, like you're gonna create some mold, water. Okay, Commissioner Walker has recommended we put on the next agenda, so next agenda. It's time. Anytime? 10 o'clock.
I'm satisfied.
Okay.
We have another item to consider under general information, and that's the job description for a county attorney.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we, if there are any questions, we certainly want to, hopefully everyone's had time to review this. And if there aren't any questions, I would like to see this on the next agenda.
Okay.
Commissioner Harris and I both reviewed this, this document and are satisfied with it.
Dan, you still there? You're not Dan, okay, all right. Next agenda.
So, Mr. Chairman, putting it on the next agenda means what? We approve of the job description, and at what point?
You all would decide, we would all decide, yeah.
The next step would be for the personnel board to approve the job description and create the position. Then we would move forward with a position fill request. And
So I think Commissioner Walker was the initiator, primary initiator of this. when do you anticipate, or when would it be, in terms of ideal situation, to have that position filled? How long between now and then?
You asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
You know,
please.
we're the government, so we're very slow and deliberate in all of our actions. This is just one more step. It's a procedural step that we have to take to get it through the personnel process. Our affirmative vote today does not put this out in the universe. This is all still internal, and gets it one more step closer to the personnel department completing their process. And we would still have, Florence, please correct me if I'm wrong, this still has to come back before the commission before it is finally put out
Right, there is no,
to the public.
it would be an unbudgeted position fill request.
Right, so, gosh, Isaiah, I don't know if we vote in the, if we move this and vote in the affirmative at the next meeting, you know, then there's still a process. I mean, can you guesstimate that when it would actually go out publicly? December?
Yes.
Maybe December?
Well, it would, after it's approved at the next meeting, then it would be at the meeting of the Personnel Board, which would be, I can't remember whether it's a week later, and, you know, so that would be the process.
Okay, so, I mean, I think best case scenario, December.
And I may have misspoken when I said it would be an unbudgeted position fill request, because this has been under conversation. It is included in this year's budget. So that knocks out 2 weeks.
Okay, what else we got?
That's all our items.
You know, we got, Troy State, made a request for the, Roosevelt Museum. Do you remember that?
$100,000?
Yeah.
Give it to him. Why should we talk about it?
What you saying?
I said
You
give it to
recommend-
him.
You recommend we give it to him?
Of course.
Oh, where the stone coming from today?
Huh? Well, that's where I got my education at.
Well, okay, great, great. Doug, you all right with that?
Yeah, and the money's going to some programs, renovations and stuff like that, is what I understand.
And Troy, they never asked us for nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as we can do it for Alabama State, we can do it for Troy.
Dr. Jack Hawkins is a fine chancellor.
I agree with that.
All right.
So we agree to, get that.
Yes, sir. You want me to put you on speaker again?
For what? We finna go for a regular meeting.
Hold on, and could you start over, please?
Yeah. I've been trying to be heard. I don't have any problem with what you just said you wanted to do with Troy University, but the one before that, rather, my question is, wait a minute, I'm getting feedback here.
I'm sorry, I think I hit the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Dan.
I don't, my question was reporting. I noticed that job was reported to the administrator. Did we look at the other counties and see where the county attorney reports directly to the commission, or is it the administrator? That was my only question, Robert, on that.
The counties that I have spoken with identified who have in-house counsel, they do report to the administrator.
Okay, all right.
With that information, are you now satisfied with the document?
Pardon?
With that new information, are you now satisfied with the document, the county attorney description?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, he said he is.
Okay. You all right putting it on the next agenda, right, Dan?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't vote today anyway.
How did you put yourself in that position?
You can bet your last dollar I'll vote next meeting. Bet your last money on that one.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I had sent a couple of emails out about bridge builders. Commissioner Walker had responded that she was in favor. their ask was 25,000, and the past 3 years in the spring, we had given 10,000, and my recommendation was that we continue to give that 10,000 from joint to the Bridge Builders of Alabama.
Oh, they still active? I hadn't heard from them in a long time. What are they doing?
Yeah, they're still active.
They didn't show up today, huh?
No, she asked, she wanted to come, and I said I felt like we
Should
could,
have allowed her to come so
Well,
we could see talk to
could-
her about what she's doing.
we can. She wanted 25, and I was gonna recommend we continue the 10.
I'd like to talk to her and see
We can
what
get her.
what the agenda is at this point in time.
All right, so we'll hold off on that one, and I'll invite Jenny Ives to come to the next meeting, Florence.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the rodeo is asking if we're going to continue our support of the Southeastern Livestock Exposition in March or April of next, and I think right now all they're asking for is a verbal commitment of the contribution of 20,000 we've done in the past. We don't have to act on that today. We could actually wait until January if you wanted to wait, if we want to do it then, but,
But we can commit to it today.
so, but I will probably see her at lunch today at, Aaron Beasley will probably be at the Kiwanis Club meeting. So if you're okay with saying that we don't see a reason why we won't
Right,
continue to support them.
right.
So. And the last one I have is Maine, Montgomery area Non-Equestrian. They got some issues with the bridge, just one of the bridges that the riders, the special needs kids that ride the horses are there, the bridge is out, and they're asking for some help, any help we can, and then we have supported them in the past. It is in my district. I will match whatever the rest of the commission is willing to give, up to $5,000. So their ask is 10,000 for the repair of the bridge. And I think in the past we've given them 10,000. I'd have to verify that, but I believe as a joint we have given them in the past. But I want to see if there's any consideration from any of the other commissioners to help.
I was just curious, does Pike Road, Mayor Gordstone, do they support them?
Yeah, they support them, but it's Montgomery Non-Equestrian, the students and the young people and that come out and participate in the program, they're not, it's located in Pike Road, but it's not a Pike Road program, it's for everybody.
I understand,
Just
that's why
like
I was
Therapeutic
asking,
Rec
yeah,
Center
that's why I was
is,
asking
yeah.
about Pike Road. I know
Yeah,
it's always should be
yeah,
a
they support them,
collaborative effort.
and I think the city of Montgomery supports them too, so. But like I said, it's for all the
I understand.
residents, yeah. So,
So what are you asking? Are you asking for the full 10 from the commission, or are you doing 5 and the commission's doing 10?
I'll do 5 if the commission will do 5.
Is the commission willing to do 5?
I'm okay with
I'll do 2,500. I'll split the other 5 with you.
That's very kind of you.
So $2,500 from Doug, $2,500 from Rhonda, and 5,000 from the full commission.
And all of that's from designated?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Is that okay with you, Commissioner Harris?
Mine's from Agency Florence.
Yeah, mine will be for agency too.
Okay.
Can you clarify the Troy University?
You got that over there, Doug?
What the,
Florida University, I know it was actually for the Roosevelt Museum.
clarify the amount,
Amount and source of funding?
it was 100,000 ask, I do recall that number, and the source of funding would have to be from our joint if we agree
I
to do
don't
that.
think we got that much in the joint. Sheriff? The $100,000 to Troy State, Rosa Park. We got that in,
No, we got 102 before today, and we've already spent some of that.
You do have some in the in-house appropriations, 75,000.
okay, well, then we'll take 50 from there and 50 from here. in-house appropriation, 50. And we take the other 50 from the joint. Okay?
All right.
Okay? Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Are we sure? That's it?
I think so.
Okay. Okay. Take a 15-minute break. Okay?